Now, every one of you volunteered for this mission, and you represent over a dozen countries. You are the world's best and brightest. And in light of the adventure we are about to embark on, you're also the bravest. I hope we all return one day having discovered a whole new realm for humanity to explore. But as all of you know, we may never be able to return home. I'd like to offer you all one last chance to withdraw your participation. Begin the dialing sequence.
Okay, Atlantis. It started with, obviously, the movie Stargate. There was a ring, took you to other places. There's the show, Stargate SG-1. There was a ring, took you to other places. And now there's Atlantis. And there's a ring, and it takes you to other places. At the end of season 7 of Stargate SG-1, the heroes of that show find an alien outpost in Antarctica under the ice, and it reveals the location of the long sought after lost city of the Ancients. The Ancients are a race of aliens who we believe built the Stargates and deposited them all over the galaxy.
Since season 1, we introduced the concept that the original Stargate on Earth was in Antarctica. That was the episode Solitudes. And so in a way, I've been kind of planting the seeds for this spin-off series since then. The original premise for Stargate Atlantis was that the city that we find was indeed under the ice of Antarctica. When Sci-Fi approached us with MGM and said that they wanted to do both series simultaneously, Robert and I had to go and lock ourselves away and come up with a variation on that concept, which was that, yes, we find an outpost in Antarctica, but that just leads us to where the real lost city is, which is in fact in the Pegasus galaxy. So the whole city up and flew away and went somewhere else.
The Ancients city, which is actually sort of more of a ship city than a city or a ship. It's kind of a city that flies, and it takes off and goes to another whole galaxy, and once they're there, they basically do what they do, and that is build Stargates, put them on a whole bunch of other planets, and then kind of like a big galaxy-wide science experiment, start life, human life, on all the planets capable of supporting human life.
And this changed the series concept significantly because originally it was going to be set in our galaxy. But the beauty of setting it in another galaxy is that we're essentially resetting the whole adventure back to zero. We're starting in Pegasus in a place very similar to where SG-1 started in our galaxy.
What have we missed?
Not much.
Here, as before, we built a system of stargates so that fledgling civilizations could travel between the stars, exchange knowledge and friendship.
But it wasn't a perfect place. It wasn't Eden after all. Eventually they found out that there was a sleeping enemy there called the Wraith.
And these were sort of super bad guys who were equally as powerful and even more so than the Ancients. And as it turns out, these Wraith kind of like to suck the life energy out of things, and they grew to kind of like the taste of the life energy of humans and started to feed on the humans that were in that galaxy.
Initially, the words that came down the pipe were gothic and dark, and that the Wraith were a breed of vampires. Not in the standard sense of the word vampire, because they didn't suck blood, they were essence stealers. Then we had to physically flesh these guys out, and quite honestly, that was very wide open from a creative standpoint. And at that point, the Wraith had wings. We were looking at them more as animalistic rather than human form. But after initial drawings started going out, it became very evident that their view of the Wraith was that they were dark, they were evil, and yet they had a underlying beauty to them. We went through a multitude of stages after that where the look changed subtly from drawing to drawing to drawing. The wardrobe concepts went back and forth, and ultimately it was gloriously hideous on the day.
The ancients were undermanned and completely overwhelmed by this terrible enemy, and the survivors of that siege that went on for maybe 100 years decided that the only thing they could do was to sink the city under the water on this alien planet in the Pegasus galaxy. That's the story Plato heard. He heard the story that 10,000 years ago, this ancient city that was great and powerful sank into the ocean during a great war. So it did happen, it just didn't happen on Earth.
And now we go there kind of seeking new power sources for our own ancient technology that we've discovered that we're using in the defense of Earth and to fight the Gould. And also to possibly meet some of those ancients and, you know, see what's going on in this other galaxy. And we end up getting trapped there and have to deal with these scary Wraith. That's just a short version.
The old saying, if I ever had a chance to do this again, we're getting that chance. Everything, hopefully, that we learned in those 7 years, now going into 8 years of SG-1, we're applying to Atlantis. Things like the puddle jumper.
This framework in the middle of the set represents the dimensions of a puddle jumper.
Now we can actually have a vehicle, because we didn't build it, because it was of an ancient construction, that can fly through the Stargate and take us wherever we need to on the alien planet. It's something that we just simply couldn't have purpose-built anywhere in the early years of SG-1, and of course by the time we were thinking of Atlantis, I wanted to save it for that.
Gate ship 1, ready to go, sir.
Gate ship 1? No. That's all wrong.
What do you mean? It's a ship, goes through the gate. Gate ship 1.
A little puddle jumper like this.
It's the first series I've ever had a hand in creating, and you know, I started as a story editor on Stargate SG-1 in the first season. I was at the read-through of that pilot, and I've sort of moved my way up to being an exec producer. And you know, I've this opportunity to sort of to spin off from what has been an incredibly successful run on SG-1 is you know, an opportunity that I think, you know, nobody could have passed up. So.
When Brad and Robert first came to me and talked to me about doing the end of season 7, the Lost City two-parter, I was thrilled because I thought, okay, this is a great way to set up whatever's coming on next, which is possibly a movie, which is possibly a new series and things like this. I had no idea it was going to be what Atlantis has actually turned into. And Atlantis is absolutely an amazing way of continuing the Stargate saga. And that's what really, I think when you're trying to create a spin-off, you have two choices. One is you can take a character or two from the established series and throw them into a new situation, and it all becomes about the characters, you know, carrying on their own story. Or you can take the idea, the mythology that you have in an established series like Stargate, SG-1, and then you spin that mythology off in a different way. And I think that this is what Brad and Robert do really well. This is why when you do a spin-off with the same creators, you do the best thing you could possibly do, which is you hold the integrity of the series of SG-1, and you put it into a brand new package. The danger, of course, is that your fans are going to be disappointed when they see that, because they're looking for SG-1 and they're not going to find it in a new series unless that continuity of mythology is there and you find interactions with characters that will take them on to the next level. So they still get the idea of Stargate SG-1, they still get the mythology of Stargate SG-1 that they're very familiar with, and you get it in a new package, and the new package is absolutely astounding. My God! Very nice! Print that one, print both of them, please. Print that one.
We had been planning and pitching and talking about doing Atlantis for some time now. It just took a long time to get the deal finally done, and when it finally did get done in late November, the Sci-Fi Channel basically asked us if we could deliver the show so that it could air in July of 2004, this year. That was a very, very short window to get a series up and running, especially while we're doing season 8 of SG-1. And even though we had pitched the show, Atlantis, we had not started writing a script. We didn't have a deal. Writers, you know, we don't write without deals. So Brad and I thought it over and talked about it at great length. But because of the really short window and the fact that such a massive set needed to be built and so many aspects of the production needed to get going, we actually started development before the script even began. I mean, Brad and I were looking at plans for the set before we had even typed Fade in. And I remember I had actually sat down to start typing in early December on the scenes I was working on. I was supposed to be working on, and Brad called me and said, "I just went into the stage and the floor is in on the set. Type faster." And you know, we literally the script was evolving as the set was going up, and it's now granted we finished faster than they did, but they had, I think, a lot more to build. We had roughly 7 weeks of prep after everyone had the script in their hands, which is a very, very frightening thing when you're actually starting up a series, especially a science fiction series that depends so much on, you know, props and sets and visual effects. The visual effects are already going. We have 4 people working on computers and doing what we call previs, and actually doing the visual effects shots before we shoot the actual footage, which seems a little bit backwards, but is the only way we're ever going to get everything complete and together in order to air the show on July 16th the way we had promised we would.
Warm welcome.
Wasn't me. How'd you manage to
Keep my ass from getting blown out of the sky? The exceptional flying of Major John Shepard. He likes it here.
Exceptional.
You like it here?
Shepard is a pilot, like Jack O'Neill is. He has the same "we don't leave people behind" core belief that Jack O'Neill has. And he uses humor to disarm a situation, just like Jack O'Neill does, or Richard Dean Anderson does. But it comes from and I think Rick would back me up on this, a less cynical place. Rick is naturally a cynical person, and that's why he's so funny. In Joe Flanagan, we found that magic quality that I think you have to have in the person who's the center of your show. He is very personally charming, very personally witty, but he's also a smart actor. I mean, all those things are on the surface. He's also adding a layer of complexity to his scenes, that finding those things that you didn't necessarily even know were in there, because he's added them, and that's what stars do.
I'm playing the part of Dr. Elizabeth Weir, and she is, like myself, new to all of this. She sort of comes from a much more political background, and she fought against the military. So from what I understand about Stargate, that's also an interesting turn, because I believe Stargate is very military based, and I don't think she even was aware of interplanetary relationships until a few months before all this happened. The first time you meet her in, I think, season 7 in Stargate, that's her first introduction to the idea of aliens. So she has a crash course and all of a sudden finds herself in charge of a whole new Stargate.
I wanted, from the get-go, I wanted to have the leader of the Atlantis team to be a woman, because I didn't want a general to be at the heart of this. I wanted a civilian leader. You cannot militarize Antarctica. So I thought, well, why not extend that to the expedition to find Atlantis? It is an international team that is essentially not and cannot be led by any one military commander from any given nation. So that's why Dr. Weir is the perfect candidate. She's a negotiator. And we wanted somebody who was a negotiator at the heart of the leadership of Atlantis, because that is that role. And then Tori came and did this part, and she was spectacular. She just nailed the character. What Tori gives is a strength to Weir that is a natural strength, because she's just comes across as a strong person without being supported with overly heavy-handed dialogue. She's just strong.
I did sci-fi when I first left theater school years ago, and I didn't get it, and I don't think I had the joy of it because I didn't understand how to play with it. And so that's what I'm very excited about now, is I've been working as an actor for the last 10 years since that experience, and I've learned a lot about this medium, television medium, which is very different from the theater medium, and I've learned how to have more fun with it. And just that's very exciting, just the amount of play that's going to be involved in this.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing the character of Taylor. And she has become the leader of her people, in a sense. Her father was the leader, and he was killed a number of years ago. And her mother was taken away by the Wraith, and they've forced my civilization into a kind of mediocrity, in a way. We used to be this great, powerful, beautiful civilization, and now we're kind of living in tents, and our settlements are very temporary because we have to pick up and leave at a moment's notice. So my character is, she's very intelligent, she's very strong, she has wonderful kind of physical ability. She can run faster than any of the other people on the team, and she's a great fighter. She's a very good warrior.
Here's a tough task. I mean, here we're trying to find a particular feeling. The character, Taylor, is supposed to be a leader among her people. So we need someone with strength and passion and the ability to lead people, but also a soulfulness and a little bit of sadness because of what her people have been through. I honestly think she was all around the best actress we saw. And it was a nice bonus for us that she's also Canadian.
I'm thrilled. I have never really had a chance to do sci-fi, and I'm kind of a sci-fi girl. I mean, I love reading fantasy. I eat that stuff up, so I am very excited about it. I know my dad will be a big fan, regardless of whether I'm on the show or not. He's a huge sci-fi guy. And he's probably the one that instilled it in me, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm Rainbow Sun Franks, and I play Ford on the old Stargate Atlantis, and I'm just overwhelmed. I'm actually getting my first look at the sets now for the first time. I've only been here a couple hours because it was an interesting time at home in Toronto. Out of nowhere, I guess about 3 or 4 days ago, I got a call like, "You got a chance to do this, you got a chance to do this." All right, agent, just calm down. Give me these 4 pages and tell me what I got to do. I went and put myself on tape, and I guess I got a blessing, and something that rarely to never happens in this industry, where I got cast for this role solely on tape. And now I'm here and playing Ford, and I hope they give me 2 guns. I'm coming for you. Coming for you. High energy when I'm here. Oh yeah! Oh, am I ever high energy?
I think that it may be slightly unique that Brad and I tend to have a philosophy that we want to put the best actor in the role. And if we have to alter our idea of what that character is in order to do that, we will. We felt that we maybe hadn't found the exact right guy yet for Ford, and the deadline was getting real close. And so I watched the tape of the first kid who I'd asked for, and then there was this other audition on there afterwards, and I looked at it and I said, "This guy's great." And I went and showed it to Brad, and he agreed immediately, and everybody loves him, and he gets the part. But it was, literally Thursday night he flies up, gets the part, and is at the read-through on Friday, and we shoot on Monday.
You might take him the wrong way. You might look at him and think he's a young boy and he doesn't really know what he's doing, but I know he gets the job done, so that's the most important thing. The coolest thing I can say for me being on this that I look forward to is like going through the gate. It's like teleporting. I'm a big sci-fi head, so for me to be on a series like this is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, I can't. This is overwhelming.
David Hewlett played the Dr. McKay character in Stargate SG-1 in season 5 and 6, and he was the scientist, core guy that we were looking for.
We need the ZPM to power the gate.
What?
ZPM. He's Canadian.
I'm sorry.
Oh, the 0-point module, General. The ancient power source that you recovered from Proclar's TNS and that's now powering the outpost defenses. I have since determined that it generates its enormous power from vacuum energy derived from a self-contained region of subspace-time.
That was a waste of a perfectly good explanation. The answer is no.
So our core team now is Joe Flanagan as Shepard, Tori Higginson as Dr. Weir, Rainbow Franks as Lieutenant Ford, and surprise, surprise, set today on the second day of shooting, David Hewlett is Dr. McKay. It's very exciting. We're finally cast.
Welcome to Atlantis.
Lieutenant Aiden Ford. Welcome to Atlantis.
And kiss her. And cut! Nice!
I love it, this Stargate show.
Just about to look at the previous shots for the Athos Gate. We're just about to look at the previous shots for the Athos Gate. Cut! 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 Coffee runs this set. It's the only way I can perform. Licorice. All right. I might not look like a peanut butter guy. I am a peanut butter guy. Get that drone out of here. Now that we're in the home of the ancients, what does it look like? This is what it looks like. This is what we came up with. So here we are. This is the main room for Stargate Atlantis. It's what we call a gatrium. This is a new gate. New and improved gate, mind you. Instead of actually rotating the gate, it's a series of lights that have been programmed in by our model shop. It took them, 20 years to make this thing. You can actually wiggle the Stargate. Okay, it's a problem for us right now that we have to figure out. We have to spray it with some kind of anti-wiggling stuff, I guess. This one right here says, "Welcome to Atlantis, please no smoking." It's all in ancient, so it doesn't really matter what it says because nobody on Earth actually speaks ancient any longer. This is the control room. Here you've got the controls. Unfortunately, they're plastic. You know what? We couldn't get away from the blinky light units that we love so well. We built a bunch more of these things to make blinky light units that we could take with us. Here's a conference room. Notice that these things are all pointing at one another. So you just hit this thing right here, and it just shoots the other person across there. That's sort of my concept. I haven't told anybody else.